At 2:20 a.m., August 7, 2016, I was awakened by my husband Wang Xiyue's call from Tehran. 3 weeks earlier, police had confiscated his passport and a laptop. They questioned him several times and finally told him that they were sending him to the airport and he should leave the country immediately. He planned to purchase a ticket home and said he would call me back when he arrived at the airport. Anxiously waiting for his call back, I sent him a text message that went unanswered. After many days, when I finally learned that he was being held in Evan prison, I became obsessed with Google Earth. I zoomed in to examine the landscape and the clusters of the gray architecture, as if I could find him behind the walls. In April 2017, he was sentenced to 10 years in prison for alleged acts of espionage. Recently, the verdict was upheld on appeal.
Stephanie Gosk has that story. Steph, good morning to you.
Hey, good morning, Matt. Well, Xiyue Wang's wife is speaking out for the first time after Iranian TV aired a story that laid out the details of the case against Wang. Some suggest Iran may have released footage of the jailed student in an attempt to put pressure on the U.S., which is considering pulling out of nuclear deal with the nation and renewing economic sanctions.
I still remember the day that I was working in the Firestone Library in Princeton that he gave me a call and he cried. He literally cannot say anything but cry.
Xiyue Wang, an American citizen in the PhD program at Princeton, has been in custody in Iran since July 2016, charged with spying. Over the weekend, the case took a new turn when Iranian state TV aired a story describing the charges against him, including attempting to take 4,500 scanned documents out of the country, seeking access to confidential areas of a library, and assisting a hostile government. Hua Chu says her husband is a legitimate academic scholar pursuing his doctorate, whose research on Iranian history had been approved by government officials there.
He didn't do anything secretly, and none of the documents are confidential information.
My husband has been away from us for over 18 months as of today, and he has been behind the bars for 16 months. We have a young child, Xiaofan, who is only four and a half this year. It's such a tragedy for us, such a bitter ordeal for our family.
Hi, my name is Lisa Kindervater. I am a teacher at UNOW Nursery, and I had the privilege and the joy of taking care of Xiaofan, Wang and Hua's little boy, when he was between the ages of 2 and 4. And during that time that I was caring for him is when the crisis hit the family, right in the middle of that time. I think Xiao, during that next year, was very much a trooper, but you could see that it troubled him. And at times he would talk about his daddy and say, bad guys took my daddy and he's in jail. And then there are other times the kids would be talking about what they did on the weekend with their fathers, and he would pipe up and say, my daddy's far away and he won't be back till I'm grown up. So what can, as a teacher, what do you say, to a child? You give him hugs and you let him know that you care and that that his daddy misses him and he misses his daddy, but we hope he'll be back soon.
My memories of Xiyue begin with the innocent days of happiness. We met in Hong Kong in year 2009, where I was immediately intrigued by his vast knowledge of the languages, histories, and cultures of civilizations that I almost remotely heard of. Before he left to work for the Red Cross in the war zones in Afghanistan, we spent a brief time together in Beijing. Xiyue brought me to bookstores where he could randomly pick a book from the history section and began telling me stories and anecdotes that captured my attention. He told me that his intellectual dreams began within these books, and that one day he would contribute to a historical field that would matter to all.
My name is Janet Chen. I am an associate professor in the history department at Princeton University. I first met Xiyue in 2014 when he was a second-year student in our department. He turned up in my class to study modern Chinese history. Even though that was not his major field, you could really not tell. He loved everything that we threw at him. Subsequently, I was an examiner for his PhD exams for our minor field in modern Chinese history. The thing that you have to know about Xiyue is that besides his family, learning is the thing that he loves most. For his general exams, he initially proposed to do not 3 fields, as would be the norm, but actually 6. And I had to talk him down from trying to do everything at once. I remember saying to him, you have your entire life to be a scholar and to keep learning.
My husband was in solitary confinement for 18 days, and after that he was sent to the political section of the Evan prison, which is Ward 209. He was there for a couple of months, and then he was transferred out of 209 for a short period of time, and then returned to 209 back again for 5 months. He has limited access to medical treatment, and he has been in serious depression, since he was detained.
My name is Justin Jacobs. I am an associate professor of history at American University, and I'm making this video on behalf of Wang Xiyue, the Princeton graduate student who has been wrongly imprisoned in Iran for more than a year. I knew Wang back in 2003 when we were both students in a Uyghur language class at the University of Washington in Seattle, and we've kept in touch ever since. We talked about which grad schools he should apply to when he was getting ready to do his PhD. He is absolutely not guilty.
Xiaofan, at the beginning, he's looking forward his dad's return every day. He asked me quite often at the very beginning when this happened and what happened to dad, because sometimes he overheard my phone calls at home. He knows that his dad was in trouble, was put in jail. And as a young kid, he was in such fantasy of knights, stories of knights, dragons, and castles and dungeons. So he just automatically put this family situation into fairy tales that he was read by teachers and me. But over the year, he mentioned his father less and less, because I think in Xiaofan's age, they live only at present time. So they just filter out all the negative things in their lives. And when my husband called me occasionally that Xiaofan was around, but he has become refused to talk to his dad, it's difficult to get him to the phone.
As Hua, or as he refers to her, my wonderful wife, has said, Xiyue is a history nerd. I've never seen him without a book. He has an insatiable need to learn and to generously share that knowledge with others, and his enthusiasm for knowledge is contagious. I cannot imagine Xiyue caged up for a day, for a week, for 16 months.
I have learned not to weep every time I think about him. I have stopped imagining how he spent his days and how long the next 10 years may mean to my family. My husband's health is deteriorating fast, and I'm very worried about him. I have no other choice but to become a strong advocate for him. My husband was persecuted for his scholarship and criminalized for his American citizenship. America is my husband's adopted homeland. He chose to study, live, and work here because it offers an unparalleled portal to access and share knowledge about this world. Like many scholars around the globe, My husband was attracted by America's promises of academic freedom, and he devoted himself to further these causes both within and outside academia. Will his country stand up for him the same way he stood up for American values? I hope the answer is a resounding yes.